When it comes to mental health, support in the workplace, expectations for employers and employees has drastically changed since the start of the pandemic. According to the American Psychological Association, a study found 92% of workers said it's important that an organization values their emotional well-being. While some results found positive developments, the data revealed improvements are still needed. One study found 57% of workers experienced negative impacts associated with workplace burnout. So what needs to change? This morning, we're joined by integrative health expert Angela Moore, as well as CEO of the Lee Group, Mark S. Lee. Thanks to you both for joining us this morning. Mark, going to start with you. And I want to get a kind of an idea how mental health in the workplace has changed over time, especially maybe the last few years.
Yeah, actually, mental health has become top of mind over the last several years. You go back 10, 15 years ago, it was not top of mind as it is today. And I think the reason for that is that people are feeling an added stress level. You know, people are working from home. Both the moms and the dads are working as well. Cost of living continues to increase. If all these factors are driving at once, so mental health becomes a challenge because we're feeling the added pressure to get things done.
There's always pressure. Now, Angela, what are some problematic behaviors you have identified in the workplace?
Well, I would say, quite honestly, the first thing is how people start the day. Oftentimes, people have not prepared the night before for the upcoming busy day. And so what you'll find is a lot of employees arrive to work stressed. They're very overwhelmed. They have had to fight traffic in order to get there. They're often running way behind schedule. They have not allowed enough time to actually get to work, get seated at their desk, put themselves in a nice mindset to start the day. So most importantly, that would be something that I will definitely say, if you could start your day in a good way, that's going to help you have a successful day. Oftentimes also, employees, when they come in, they've already overscheduled their day. They have too many meetings, oftentimes with not enough time in between meetings to kind of process the meeting, times to take breaks, times to think about the meetings, any changes they want to make regarding their day. Oftentimes, employees have not created enough time and space between meetings. And so you have a number of back-to-back meetings, which is going to increase your stress throughout the day. And then some of those really positive behaviors that you could integrate throughout the workday, you don't have time for. And so you're not eating, you're rushing to the bathroom, you're definitely not hydrating. So you're kind of setting yourself up for a very unsuccessful, stressful day.
You know, Angela, we hear so much about burnout these days. I'm wondering, is there an actual definition of burnout, or is it different for everybody? And what can employees and employers do to combat burnout?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. There are a lot of definitions for burnout, but I think what you have to ask is, what would burnout be for you? And burnout basically is when you're at your limit. You're not able to perform effective and productive in the task that is associated with your job. And quite honestly, one of the things that we find when people are in burnout is that they're not able to maintain healthy relationships that are very important in their lives, that will support a healthy work-life balance. And so what you'll find is that not only are you feeling burned out at work, you're also feeling essentially burned out at home. So you're not feeling very productive or successful in any areas of your life.
You know, Mark, from an entrepreneurial perspective, are things different from that point of view than from somebody working a 9-to-5 when it comes to burnout?
I think so. I think the burnout factor is much higher if you're an entrepreneur, because you're managing everything. You're doing everything soup to nuts. I worked in corporate for 25 years. I had a team that worked for me. I could certainly delegate responsibilities to other people on my staff, right? As an entrepreneur, I can't do that. I'm literally going to the local store to pick up a print cartridge, for example. I got to worry about payroll. I got to write proposals. So I think the burnout factor continues to increase and intensify with entrepreneurs. And I think Angela hits on a good point, is finding that balance. You got to find that balance as you're running your business. Don't forget to take time for yourself.
Okay, that's easy to say, harder to do, especially when you're an entrepreneur. So somebody who is one, how do you take that time for yourself, and how do you kind of get out of the office? Because technically you're probably always in the office.
I'm always in the office, and I'm always thinking. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm thinking, but bottom line is every Friday, I call it my admin day. That means I do absolutely nothing else but focus on my business. I return phone calls. I think about the upcoming week. So when Friday at 3 o'clock rolls around, Mark is all set for the weekend. He's got his balance. He knows exactly what he's going to do for the weekend. So you got to figure out how to take that time for yourself to balance out your lifestyle.
You know, Angela, I'm curious. I mean, since the pandemic and now afterwards, a lot more people working from home or have a hybrid situation. When you said work from home years ago, you thought, oh, this is going to be a nice laid-back lifestyle. But how has that actually contributed to burnout or work stresses, or has it actually improved many people's work situations?
I would say a combination of both. I think those people that are mindful of creating separate time and space for work, maintaining work hours. And one of the things that I will add to something that Mark said is that oftentimes when you're an entrepreneur, you feel like you have to take on all the roles that your entrepreneur, dreams what they require. The truth of it is that those things, those tasks that you can delegate, you can still do that as an entrepreneur. And so just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you have to take on everything. And so it's really important, just like you would do from a business standpoint of delegating tasks, you can do the same thing as an entrepreneur. Definitely, you want to make sure that you create time and space and maintain time and space when you're doing work tasks, when you're doing work activities. Something I often suggest is that you do so in a workspace. Like right now, I'm in my home office and I'm at home. And when I am working from home, I work during specific work hours. And so I do have my hard stops, times when I step out of my office and I'm not doing work. I'm just focusing on my husband and my son and focusing on those things that nurture me as a person. And then when I'm in my office, I'm totally focused, totally dialed in to my work.
Well, that's a good piece of advice there. Mark, Angela, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. Interesting topic, mental health. You should definitely take time for yourself if you think you need it.
And one of the things I would just say, just to emphasize that point again, one more time, it's okay to take time for yourself. The work's going to be there. Your health, we want you to be healthy, because if you're a healthy person, you're going to have a healthy business as well.
And on that, we will end this edition. Thank you to both of you for joining us.